Merry Christmas and welcome back to Millennial Knowledge. I was shown this article, or I was made aware of this article, and I felt it was a good one to talk about, or at least read to you, which seems to be what I do for now. From the Washington Free Beacon. China violates disclosure law to publish propaganda in New York Times and Washington Post. China routinely broke federal law by not disclosing how much it spent to publish regime propaganda in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other newspapers, an expert review of foreign agent restriction filings concluded. China Daily, an official mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party, has published hundreds of propaganda articles designed to look like ordinary news stories in some of America's most influential newspapers. While foreign agents may place ads in the United States, the propaganda outlet has repeatedly violated the Foreign Agent Registration Act (FARA) by failing to provide full disclosures about its purchases. China Daily has published propaganda in mainstream outlet for decades, but did not disclose its purchase of space in American newspapers to the Department of Justice until 2012. Even after it began acknowledging its relationship with the papers, the regime mouthpiece continued to violate federal disclosure requirements. China Daily has failed to provide breakdowns of spending activities and withheld copies of online ads, among other omissions that violate federal law, according to experts who reviewed years of its FARA filings. The Washington Free Beacon reviewed all of the physical copies of China Daily's ads filled with the DOJ, as well as online ads the propaganda outlet did not submit to the department. China Daily has run more than 700 online ads designed to look like news articles and purchased 500 print pages in 6 American newspapers over the last 7 years. These propaganda articles from the state oppression in, forgive me if I pronounce anything, Xinjiang, Tibet, and Hong Kong in a positive light and run alongside actual news stories produced by reporter at the Post, Times, Wall Street Journal, and other outlets. Rep. Jim Banks, Republican from Indiana, a member of the House Armed Services Committee, has frequently criticized China Daily, arguing that the newspaper should not be distributed to the offices of members of Congress. He said American newspapers traded credibility for ad revenue. These outlets claim to support democracy, but they've participated in a cover-up for an ongoing communist-run genocide, Banks said. It's disgusting. A spokesperson for the Post told the Free Beacon that the newspaper has run China Daily ads for more than 30 years. By 2012, the regime mouthpiece's operation was running dozens of ads per year, mimicking real articles in major outlets under the banner of China Watch, a self-proclaimed high-end think tank platform backed by China Daily. Federal law requires foreign agents to report and provide copies of all propaganda that is disseminated or circulated among 2 or more persons in the United States. Ben Freeman, director of the Foreign Influence Transparency Initiative at the Center for International Policies, said China Daily's ad inserts are subject to those requirements. Clearly, an ad that's in the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, or any big media outlet is going to be distributed to 2 or more people, Freeman said. China Daily registered as a foreign agent in 1983, but did not disclose its relationship with the U.S. newspapers in its biannual reports for 29 years. The outlet did not respond to requests for comments about FARA filings. So instead of people saying it's Russian agents controlling what we see, for 3 years longer than I've been alive, China has been pumping ads into the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, among other things, other media outlets. That is scary, because how many people for in that amount of time trusted those news outlets? I mean, I think the Washington Post might be the newest one. I don't even know how new it is, but I know that one is Jeff Bezos. If they were have to have placed paid ads in the Washington Post as early as 2010, that would be the sort of thing they would need to detail, Rosenstein said. After reviewing China Daily's most recent report, filed in November, both Rosenstein and Freeman said the outlet continued to flout the law. The report illegally lumps together all expenditures under two vague categories: total cost of goods sold and operation expenses. China Daily should have broken down its expenditures, detailing how much money it paid each outlet for each ad purchase, said the two experts. If I'm looking at one line and one line item for 4 million in operating expenses, how can I possibly evaluate that? Freeman said. I don't think I can, frankly. Vague disclosures do reveal that China Daily is flush with money from the Chinese Communist Party, including 11.8 million that the paper's Beijing office wired to the US branch over the past year. The cash transfer gave China Daily the ninth largest budget of all FARA-registered entities, according to the Center for Responsive Politics. I'm sure the Chinese government would have invested so much money into this effort in almost every major newspaper if they didn't think they were getting some return, Zach Cooper, a research fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, told the Free Beacon. China Daily uses its large war chest to provide hundreds of ads in the print and online versions of The Times, Post, and Journal. Ad spending peaked in 2016 when it took out ads in more than 140 pages in American outlets. Spokesmen for all three newspapers declined to say how much they have taken from China Daily over the years, but the spending could easily run into the millions, according to the public relations professionals. One firm, which anonymity, requested to be anonymous as it continues to publish ads with all three outlets, said full-page ads cost between $65,000 and $120,000 each. While many China Daily articles touted the country's economic achievements or tourist attractions, others published explicit political messages. These articles contain the legally required disclaimer that a Chinese entity prepared the ads, but do not say that China Daily is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. One China Daily article from March that appeared on the journal's website describes China's detention of more than 1 million Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang re-education camps as a law-based campaign of de-radicalization. A journal spokesperson said that her outlet reviews all ads for issue of taste and accuracy, but did not say whether China Daily articles of Xinjiang met those guidelines. Meanwhile, more than half of the Post's China Daily ad inserts since 2012 have featured propaganda articles about Tibet, where China has repressed dissidents and Buddhists for decades. Those articles depicted China's presence in Tibet in a positive light, saying the Chinese Communist Party's economic and social policies have brought prosperity and peace to the region. Harmony rules in Tibet's Catholic town, a 2013 China Daily article in the Post says. Through meditation by the local government, Buddhism and Catholicism entered an era of coexistence. A Post spokesperson defended the ads, arguing that the newspaper gives wide latitude to advertisers as long as the ads do not break any law. Some ads appeared adjacent to real news articles. The Journal, for instance, ran a journal article and a China Daily article that gave opposite assessments of the Chinese economy side by side in 2014. In the months leading up to 2018 election, China Daily ran ads critical of the trade war in Roll Call, a Washington, D.C. publication, and an Iowa-based Des Moines Register. The Register ad labeled the trade war a "fruit of a president's folly," provoking a response from President Donald Trump on Twitter. China is actually placing propaganda ads in the Des Moines Register and other papers, made to look like news, Trump tweeted. That's because we are beating them on trade, opening markets, and the farmers will make fortune when this is over, Trump tweeted. The Times spokesperson said that the lucrative ad deals with China Daily have not compromised the paper's reporting, pointing to a recent expose on oppression in Xinjiang as evidence. The New York Times covers China thoroughly and aggressively, and at no time has advertising influenced our coverage, she said. Yahui Wang, a researcher at Human Rights Watch, said the Chinese regime targets prominent American newspapers in hopes of influencing reporting. Media companies that run China Daily ads undermine the work of their own reporters, she said. These newspapers are doing a disservice to their brave journalists in China, who are taking tremendous risks to report on the Xinjiang issue, she said. I think newspapers should take a more principled stance to reject those ads that are clearly not speaking the truth.